Hello ladies and gentlemen of VHS Horror. Today I want to talk about what I want from The Last of Us Part 2. This may just be a normal video or it might be an episode of the podcast. I'm not sure. I made the podcast already where I talked for a good half hour. But my mic wasn't recording. And I tried it again, but my mic wasn't recording. So I know what I'm going to talk about. I know where I'm going to go with everything. So this might be a shorter video. I don't know. But anyway, what I wouldn't mind seeing, I have a couple little notes written down, but one of the things being Ellie's scar, how she got it. Now, if you haven't noticed, which, you know, if you've played The Last of Us before, I'm surprised that you didn't notice sometime, but Ellie has a scar over her eye, on her eyebrow. I wouldn't mind seeing how she got that. Maybe it's nothing, maybe she just tripped and fell, which, you know, I don't think she did. Excuse me. Now, using The Last of Us photo mode, you can get nice close-ups of it. Excuse me. Anyway, and you can see it's a nice You can see that it's a nice clean scar. It's a nice clean cut. So what I think is maybe she got into a fight at one of the schools or an orphanage or whatever she was in. Some kid knifed her and somehow didn't get her eye. Or maybe she was hanging out with Riley at the mall or something. Fell down. Winston's horse stepped on her face. Obviously, that's just a bunch of bullshit, because if a horse stepped on your face, I think it's going to destroy you. I think it is going to literally just kill you right then and there. I don't know. I've never seen a horse step on someone's face, but... And I have music playing in my headphones right now, and I can't hear myself too clearly, but I hope to God that you can hear that I'm saying horse, and the captions don't think I'm saying something else. It'll be fun to look at the captions later. But anyway, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of Riley. Now, yeah, Riley dies, but I wouldn't mind seeing flashbacks, or even just talking about her. Now, in The Last of Us Left Behind, I didn't get that connected to her. It's like, oh wow, we get to spend an hour with some kid that Ellie's a friend with. Yeah, interesting, cool. We get to play water guns and throw bricks. Not Bix. Bricks at cars. Yeah, we're gonna throw pens. Gonna throw bricks at cars. That was a lot of fun, though. You know, there was good times with Riley, but it's like, well, we only spent an hour with you, maybe. And even half that was cutscenes. So, I don't know. I didn't get that attached to her, and when she died, I was like, oh, shit, yeah, you got a small little nick on your hand. Well, look at Ellie, she's got this huge-ass bite on her wrist. It's like, you can't compare that, well... They're the exact same thing, but as far as the injury itself, like the size of it, you can't compare the two. It's like, oh no, Riley got this nick on her thumb. Holy shit. It's like, oh yeah, but, you know, Ellie's whole wrist is messed up. Which I don't know how you didn't feel that. I suppose in the heat of the moment, it's like, oh wow, I can't feel a thing, but I feel like you would notice immediately afterwards, like, oh yeah. Got this huge-ass bite mark on me. And that's clearly my blood. But anyway, when Riley died, it was like, oh, shit. That's a shame. I just didn't get connected to her, and I don't know. Like, I would have been a lot more sad. I say I would have been because I knew that Joel lived. But I would have been a lot more sad watching the scene in... the university chapter where Joel falls down on the spike and it goes through him. And then the whole part where Joel has to lean on Ellie for support and then they're just slowly walking out of the place. And then some guys come after them and... like, that shit is more sad than Riley's death, in my opinion. But I still would love to hear more about Riley. Especially how she died. Because Ellie, if you don't know, is immune. And if you don't know, then clearly I haven't played these games. But Ellie is immune. She can't die from a bite. Spores, whatever. Riley died. What I want to know is how. And that's a question I think that could be brought up in The Last of Us Part 2. Like, oh yeah, I had this friend once. Yeah, I had to shoot her. What kind of shit did you have to do? Oh wow, you had a hard time at Tommy's settlement when the power went out one night? Oh, such a bad life you must have. Like, I don't know. But think about it. what if Riley turned and Ellie had to kill her? Because Riley's like, oh yeah, we'll just stay here and I don't remember the quote. Be all poetic and shit and just lose our minds together or something. And eventually, Riley had to have turned. And it's not like Ellie just said, screw it, you can eat me, I don't care. Because she only has the one bite. So I don't know. You know, maybe as a kid she might have been scared and she's like, oh shit, I'm just going to run away. But that was her best friend, and it's confirmed that they were a little bit more than friends, like romantically. So it's like, oh shit, this is the love of my life, and she's turned. Oh shit, what do? I can't just let her stay, and I gotta shoot her. Well, she didn't have a gun. I have to knife her to death. Oh shit, I don't know. But I would love to see what happens, or at least hear what happens. Like, in a conversation with Joel, just, oh yeah, my friend Riley, who I've told you a little bit about, I had to kill her. Or, oh, I couldn't do it before, I had to leave, I locked her up in some place. Then maybe you go there in The Last of Us 2, and it's like, yeah, Joel, this is Riley. You open up the door, and out just runs this little kid just with the whole fungus shit coming out of her face. Maybe she turned into a bloater after that amount of time. Obviously, they'll never do something like that. I can't imagine them killing kids, even if it is a zombie. They did with Sam, but that was in a cutscene. I don't know. I think it'd be fun, seeing what happens with Riley. Ellie Scar, that's what we were originally talking about. Like I said, maybe she just got in a fight and some kid knifed her, or she fell down, a horse stepped on her head. Stupid jokes, I don't know why I'm laughing at them, but maybe a horse stepped on her head. Maybe Winston got drunk and threw a bottle at her. Maybe that little tunnel they used to use that we couldn't use and left behind. Maybe a piece of metal struck her in the face. Who knows? It could be absolutely nothing. Like, maybe she was just born and the doctor's like, oh shit, gotta cut the umbilical cord now. Oops, my hand slipped. Oh wow, I almost cut off your kid's eyeball. Or cut out your kid's eyeball. Here you go, here's your baby. Clearly I don't know what I'm doing. Here, you can cut it. I don't know. I don't know how many times I've said that, but I think it'd be interesting. Even if it's nothing, just her being like, oh yeah, well, I got into this fight once, or I just tripped. I fell on a hard rock. The rock, it hurt pretty bad. Put a bump on my head and gave me a little cut over my eye. It's like, oh, that's how you got your cigar. I don't know. And then Joel's confession, that's another thing I want to talk about. Now, if you've played through The Last of Us... Oh, I gotta restart my recording. I use Bandicam, that only records it for 10 minutes at a time, and we're at 8 minutes. If I get talking, I'm not going to notice when this stops on its own, so I'll have to restart. Anyway, so Joel's confession. I really don't want them to be like, oh yeah, Ellie, back at the Firefly Labs in Boston, or not Boston, but in Pittsburgh or whatever we were. I don't know, I can't remember, it's been years. But I lied, and I killed a lot of people, that way the cure couldn't be made, just so you would live. It's like, oh, but Joel, I wanted a cure to be made. I was willing to die. You're an asshole, F you, I'm leaving. And it's like, oh, well, Joel kind of messed that up, didn't he? Like, I don't want the characters to be ruined in that way. I love the father-daughter shit going on. I love the relationship, it's awesome. I don't want them to be like, oh, but now Ellie hates Joel because he lied and he stopped the cure from being made. Now, I don't know if Ellie could have, if she knew she was going to die, I don't know if she would have been willing to die. Because at some parts it's like, okay, well, it's just assumed that you know what's going to happen. Then it's like, some point I got to teach you how to play guitar. It's like, well, I'll tell you what, after this, we'll go wherever you want to go. And it's like, oh. So she's just saying that, or maybe she thinks she's not going to die. Who knows? And that wasn't even the right conversation. What Joel said was random dialogue. What Ellie said happens after you meet the giraffes. So yeah, those two things, not related, but yeah, whatever. I just don't want them to ruin what's going on with the characters. I don't want them to be like, oh yeah, they're father and daughter for now. You just wait until Joel tells her the truth. After that, that's the end of Joel and Ellie. I don't think that would happen, though. You know, some of these questions, like what happens with Riley, I feel like that might be brought up in, like, maybe Ellie has a journal or something. Who knows? But I'm thinking some of these answers, or some of these questions will be answered. And I know, based off the detail and everything in The Last of Us, that they're going to want to answer some fan questions, because I can tell Naughty Dog loves what they're doing, and they love their community. So I can imagine that they're going to want to answer some of these questions. Like, what's going to happen if Ellie ever finds out about Joel lying? I mean, that's how the game ended. Some people even seen that as a cliffhanger. Me, not really. I mean, well, I kind of just assumed, okay, now they're going to live happily ever after at Tommy's settlement. Okay. But to some people, they seen that as a cliffhanger. They're like, oh shit, so what's going to happen now? Is Ellie going to be mad at Joel? Are they ever going to find out what's going on with Joel? Like, I don't know. Excuse me. Excuse me again. One character I really liked was David. And we're still talking about The Last of Us 2. David can't return, but Nolan North did a great job. And I'll talk about him afterwards. Maybe when I'm done talking about The Last of Us 2, I'll move on to just The Last of Us and talk about stuff I liked from that. I don't know. But there's a couple things I do want to talk about. Anyway, just ending the whole thing with Joel's confession. See, I'd love to see what would happen. I'd love to see what happens with after Joel tells her, like, yeah, no, I lied and I stopped the cure from being made and I killed the people who could make a cure. And I'd love to see Ellie's reaction, like, oh, well, now I feel like this. But I don't want the reaction to be, oh, well, now, Joel, you can go F yourself. I'm gone. Like, these are some great characters, and I just don't want the story to be ruined. Shit. And moving on to the features I'd like to see, and features I don't like. One feature I wouldn't mind seeing is whistling. There was a couple times in The Last of Us when I was playing and I was like, shit, too bad I can't just whistle and get one of their attention. And I was thinking maybe whistling mode could be added in to target specific infected. Like, let's say there's 2 infected at the other end of the room and 1 infected pretty much beside you. You just let out a little whistle, and the infected person walks closer to you to see what the noise is. And then Ellie would jump out and just stab it in the head or something. Like, maybe you could use a whistling mode to target specific enemies. And I know what some of you are saying, like, oh, well, everybody would hear that. But that's why it's a soft whistle. You do it to target 1 or 2 enemies at a time at very close range. Or maybe not very close, but at close range. You know, like, let's say you're hiding behind a desk and there's an infected on the other side of it, and the way it's facing, you know that if it comes towards you, it's going to eat you. It's going to kill you instantly. Maybe let a whistle. As it's walking to the other side of the desk, you jump over it, sneak up behind it, and stab him in the back of the head. I don't know. I think it could be a decent idea. Some of you will see problems with it. The main one being, well, I mean, everybody should be able to hear that, not just one's infected. But I don't know. I think it could be a decent little mode. Like I said, there's a couple times playing it where I hoped I could whistle. I was like, shit, if only I could just make a tiny noise. Rather than wasting this brick that I could use to bash in someone's face, or throwing this bottle that makes a loud noise and gets everybody's attention, too bad I can't just target one of them. Or just a couple. And one thing I didn't like, because I avoided the trailers, not because I didn't like them or anything, or because I was trying to stay spoiler free, but just because it didn't interest me to see other people's gameplay. It's like, wow, a gameplay trailer, cool. I don't give a shit though. I'm gonna play this at some point. I don't care about trailers. Then I checked them out just for the fun of it, not because I was hyped or because I couldn't wait, but because I was just bored one day and I was like, well, never watched The Last of Us trailers. And I just skimmed through it because I didn't really care that much. And I seen a part where Ellie walked into some tall grass, and then one of the enemies shouted, "Oh, she's in the grass!" And I was thinking, oh my gosh, not this Uncharted shit. These are two different games. Don't introduce elements from that game into this one. There's no way you're gonna just, you know, crouch walk into some grass. And it's like, oh no, we can't see you now. I don't like the element of being able to hide in tall grass. Or feature, whatever. I just think it's dumb. Some of you probably like it, and you know what? I mean, it does make the game easier, or maybe more fun to some of you. I just think it's really stupid. But some of you may think the whistling mode I brought up might be stupid. So, you know what? We all have our different opinions. And one thing I really don't want to see in The Last of Us 2 is, and now I'm going to stop the recording and restart it, because if I decide not to include this in the video, I can just delete this rather than the whole thing. Anyway, so what I don't want to see in the video is, in the game is forced stuff to push an agenda. Or SJW stuff, things like that. I am perfectly fine with Ellie being a lesbian. Nothing wrong with that. As a guy, I love lesbians. It's a joke. Don't get offended over the joke. Oh my gosh. Anyway. You know, if you've ever played Last of Us or Left Behind, well, Left Behind, not The Last of Us. But if you ever played The Last of Us Left Behind, you know that Ellie is at the very least bi. And it was confirmed that she had romantic interests in Riley. She kisses her, and you know, some of us might have been like, oh, okay. So that was like an I missed you type thing, or please don't go, don't leave me type thing. Maybe it's a goodbye, who knows. But some people thought that it might have been romantic. And then it was confirmed that she did have interest in Riley. And then she died. Oh, that's not funny. But anyway, so that doesn't bother me that she's lesbian. It's like, well, she's always been that way, so... she's always been bi, at least. So, yeah, who cares? I just don't want them to be like... And I know they probably won't do this stuff, but I don't want them to be like, oh, well, you know, we kind of have to do this to please certain groups of people. Oh, what's that? Ellie's already white? Oh, I wish we could have made her purple or something. Aw, shit. Like, I don't want them to be, like, forcing stuff and feeling that they have to do stuff to please certain groups of people. I know there could be a couple lesbian viewers watching, and they're like, oh, well, I don't really give a shit. But the thing is that some do. Like, way too much. Like, some idiot at IGN complained because Days Gone makes you play as a white character. And some idiot at IGN complained about it. And the idiot who complained about it is a white man himself. And it's like, why are you complaining about this stuff? Who cares? Mafia 3. I didn't want to play it. You know why I didn't? Because I didn't like Mafia 2. Simple as that. Nobody goes into a game saying, oh shit, what's that? Franklin in GTA is a different color than Michael and Trevor. I can't play this game. Or what's that? Michael isn't gay with Trevor. I can't play this game. No one cares. It's nice to know this extra information, but that's what it is. It is extra information. You don't need to know that Ellie is at least bisexual to enjoy the game. You don't need to know any of that. You don't need to know that apparently, according to the wiki, she is agnostic or whatever. I don't know. She doesn't explicitly state, yeah, I don't believe in anything. But I think she did say in a conversation with Sam that she struggles with believing or something. Or believing at least that the infected are going to a better place. I don't know. But that's just extra information. That's just fun little trivia. You don't need to know that, let's just use Joel as an example. You don't need to know that Joel is Muslim to enjoy the game. And I picked Muslim because that's just a random religion I thought of off the top of my head. Like, you don't need to know the character's religions to enjoy the game. You don't need to know their sexuality. I suppose if it's a third-person game, you kind of do know their skin color and their gender and their voice, obviously. But some things just don't matter. Simple as that. It's a video game. And I just hope that Naughty Dog, and again, I am almost certain they won't do this, but I just hope Naughty Dog doesn't go out of their way to force some of this stuff into the game, because they feel like it'll make people mad if there isn't. Excuse me. So, I'm going to end this little topic right here, but I'm just saying, I do not have a problem with any of this. What I have a problem with is when something is forced. Like, let's say they just randomly turned Ellie's skin color to green to please green people. Let's say there's a race of green people. If they turned Ellie's skin color to green to please the green people, it's like, but Ellie wasn't green in The Last of Us Part 1. That's unnecessary. That is crazy. And I use that word, I said crazy, now people are going to get mad, like, oh, wait, are you saying that who Ellie is as a person is crazy? That's not what I'm saying. Don't twist my words. Again, ending this topic, what I am saying is I do not want anything forced. I don't want them to do something simply for the sake of pleasing people who might get butthurt if something doesn't happen the way they want. I'm going to end this topic. If it gets cut from the video, don't be surprised, because I try to avoid shit like this. I used to post polls on the channel asking people, like, hey, what is your gender? Even though I knew. It's like, half of my, no, not half. 75% of my audience is male, 25% is female. That's not exact measurements or what numbers or whatever, but that's just me off the top of my head just saying what it is. There's a small portion female, large portion male. I used to ask people like, hey, what would you do if your child was, I don't know, not religious or whatever? I'd ask them their opinions on this stuff, just for fun, just to talk, just for a discussion. I don't do that stuff anymore. Why? Because I realize that those type of discussions easily get people mad. Just like, oh, hey, I can't talk about religion, I can't talk about sexuality, I can't talk about none of this stuff, because this just pisses me off. It's like, okay, then don't comment. But I stopped talking about that stuff in my polls and stuff, just because it was easier to avoid the getting people upset than it was to try and watch how I say what I say, or watch what other people say, how they say. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about The Last of Us itself. Let's talk about just that game. I restarted my recording. If something was cut out, don't be surprised. Oh shit, I lost my image I had pulled up. Anyway, so now let's just talk about The Last of Us, the 2013 game. The stuff I liked about it was, while I'm saying this out loud, in my head I'm thinking, did I want to say anything else about The Last of Us Part 2? No, I don't think so. Oh, well, I wouldn't mind if they just made car windows breakable. Like, you could pick up bricks if you want, and if you just wanted to waste them, you could just throw them into a car. I don't know, that stuff was fun. I like being the brickmaster. Or maybe if they added just, oh no, this is a bit too much, but if they added like water guns. I don't know, Left Behind is a fun DLC. Didn't get that connected with Riley, but it was still a fun DLC. Maybe a DLC where we get to play as Callus, that would have been better. But anyway, getting sidetracked. Stupid jokes, I know. Very stupid jokes. Oh wow, a horse playable character DLC. Funny, but anyway. I brought up David for about a second earlier, and I said that he was a good character or whatever. And he is. He's like Micah Bell in Red Dead Redemption. And of course I'm not saying the characters are similar as far as how they act and behave, because they are very different characters. But they're similar in the sense that most people hate the character, and I just assume that most people hate David just because of, you know, his intentions and what kind of a person he was. But anyway, I like David the way I like Micah. They are very well written characters and well acted. They're just very interesting. Like, did David have intentions on, I mean, in an interview, Nolan North said something like, David didn't plan on raping her, or something like that, and then he said, right then, or some shit. He basically said that David, at some point, didn't plan on abusing Ellie. But that's not saying he didn't at all. Then David's also a cannibal and all that shit. Nothing fun. He is none of the fun stuff. He is really messed up. But he is a well-acted and well-written character. And Nolan North, who I didn't even recognize, and I'm pretty sure most people didn't, he did amazing. I thought the voice sounded great and matched the character perfect. And I kind of wish that we got to see his death. It's kind of like Carver in The Walking Dead when Kenny beat his face in with a metal pipe. You can choose to look or walk away. I imagine that that's kind of what it would have looked like. Would have been awesome. Would have been awesome in the sense of being able to see the graphic gore and stuff that the people at Naughty Dog could come up with. Not so awesome in the sense of like, oh yeah, this dude practically, well, he didn't practically destroy, but he really hurt this kid, and she took out all of her anger and literally destroyed his face. I want to see what happens. Because that would probably be very disgusting, honestly, what she did to David's face. But a part of me is like, I want to see that. Just like, again, Carver in The Walking Dead. I always choose to stay because I love seeing Kenny just beat his face in. And there's that sad moment when Ellie gets pulled off by Joel. I almost said John Marston, talking about Micah. And she gets pulled off by Joel, and she's freaking out, like, don't touch me, don't touch me. And he's like, no, wait, it's me, Joel, don't kill me. Doesn't say that. I'm trying to make stupid jokes. But anyway, I'll stop trying to make jokes. But he pulls her off. And one thing I didn't hear the first time playing is when he said baby girl, and he called her the same thing he called Sarah. And that just made the scene all that more sad. It's like, oh wow, you guys really care about each other, and oh man. It was a sad moment, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. Laughing is just, I guess, how I deal with sad shit sometimes. I'll just let a little chuckle. It's like, oh wow, your kid got hit by a bus? Yeah. Oh, what's that? You ended up in the hospital because you got hit by the same bus? Oh. Oh, that must suck. I mean, of course, in those type of situations, I would know enough not to react like laughing. But shit. There's so many sad moments in this game. But again, David's a great character, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of him. And as far as Marlene, that's another character who I assume a lot of fans don't like. She is an interesting character. And yeah, I'd like to see what happened before The Last of Us, because she knew Ellie's mother Anna, and she got her to watch over Ellie. And if you read The American Dreams, what I took from that is that excuse me, is that Marlene isn't directly involved with Ellie, but she's watching over her, because Ellie doesn't even know who she is, which is very interesting. So I would have liked to see a little bit with Marlene, but I don't know. I like the character David just because he's well written and stuff, and he's an interesting character. And he's worse than Marlene, but I don't like Marlene. David eats and possibly rapes people, and he just straight up kills them. I mean, of course, if he eats them, he has to kill them, but he kills people. Marlene is just a firefly, you know. In my opinion, I didn't like what was going on in the Firefly Labs, and they were going to kill Ellie. But in my opinion, the Fireflies are the good guys. I don't know. I like the Fireflies. I didn't like Marlene. I think the only reason I don't like Marlene, though, and this doesn't make sense because David tried to do the exact same thing, but the reason I didn't like Marlene is because she was cool with killing Ellie. It's like, oh, but right now I'm Joel, and right now that's my kid. You're cool with killing my kid? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna let that shit fly. and you start murdering everybody, and it's really fun. And then when you watch the cutscene where Joel shoots her, and then the other cutscene, the other cutscene where Joel just walks up to her and shoots her in the face, that shit's awesome. I don't know. I really like that shit. It's like, that is what I want, right there. Just like I think when Tess shot Robert in the face. There's no hesitation. It's just, you walk up to him, you just pull out your gun, you shoot him in the face. I like that shit. I don't know why. I feel like those kills where you just don't give a shit anymore, and you walk up and you just shoot someone in the face, that's more satisfying to watch than someone like David, again using him as an example, running around the restaurant trying to hit Ellie with a machete. I feel like the death a lot more satisfying is watching Tess shoot Robert in the face, or Joel shooting Marlene in the face. It's just such great shit in this game. Another character I liked was Bill. Didn't care for him too much the first time playing. It's like, oh, but you're just this chubby dude who, I almost said chubby homosexual dude, but I'm afraid that people think that's an insult. I'm not trying to insult him. I'm just saying that's who his character is. This chubby, somewhat homosexual dude, or at least that's what the actor was going for. And you just build shit, from my understanding. But Bill, I don't know. Something about him. Might be his voice, I don't know. But something about him is very interesting. I can't put my finger on it. You know, if they ever made a prequel to The Last of Us, I wouldn't mind seeing more of Bill and seeing him and Frank as partner. That stuff would have been fairly interesting. And, you know, like I just said about the actor, how he was going for more of a homosexual thing, like he liked Frank romantically. I don't imagine it was his partner in the sense that they were together, because I gotta take a drink. But anyway, because based off the note that we get from Frank when he's dead, he does not like Bill. Not one bit. Oh, shit. He was pissed off, he was tired of Bill, and he just wanted to leave. And he almost got the battery, and he almost got out. But then he got bit, and he hung himself. Which also kind of confirms that if you die, you can't come back. I don't know if that was ever a question people had. I don't know if that was already answered in some way, but yeah. If you die before you turn, you don't turn. I don't know what to talk about now. There's a lot of sad moments, so I talk about that. They always get me, like the first time I seen them. Now I knew, using Sarah as the example, I knew that Sarah was going to die. But when I played it for myself and I seen that happen, that was sad. And the second time I played it and I seen that happen, it was sad. Then when I watched a YouTuber play through the game and I seen it, it was sad. Like it's for me anyway, there's never a moment where it's like, oh, well, I've gotten used to seeing this shit. It's always like, oh no, this is extremely sad. Watching Ellie have to kill David and her reaction, Joel just walking up to her and calling her baby girl like he calls Sarah, his daughter who he lost in the beginning, and oh man, I'm laughing again. I told you, sometimes I laugh as a way of being like, oh wow, this is sad. But shit. Tess's death, I don't know. I know you're probably thinking like, but you said that Ellie's bite was more important than, or looked better or whatever I said, than Riley's bite, because Riley's bite was a little nick on the thumb. Tess had a bigger bite mark. But I don't know. Maybe it was the way she revealed it, or the fact that Ellie kind of spoiled it, like, oh, she's bitten. It's like, oh, okay, cool, so she's gonna die now. Kind of wish she did that herself, not you. I don't know. But Tess's death didn't get me like some of the other deaths, or just scenes in general. Something I suppose I could have talked about, but didn't, is I wouldn't mind seeing more of Tommy in The Last of Us Part 2. And we kind of know we're going to see more of Tommy. I'm pretty sure they're at Tommy's settlement. So, yeah. unless they had a problem getting the actor, I doubt we're not going to see Tommy. But I can't think of what to talk about, and I'm just going to start rambling on about more characters and scenes and shit. And ultimately, I already talked about what I want to talk about, and I might not even upload it because I discussed topics such as forced things in games and sexualities and shit. And I know people like to get butthurt every time you mention them, even if you don't mention them in a bad way, which I didn't. People just like to get butthurt over everything, so I don't know. And I'm not saying my subscribers like to. I'm saying people in general, like, I don't know, you go on Twitter and all the time you see like stupid hashtags and people complaining over everything. People like to find something to fight and argue about. It's stupid, honestly. The need that people think they have to fight. They have to argue and complain about everything. It's annoying. The people who do that are annoying. No one likes you, people who do that. People who feel like they have to fight and argue over everything, no one likes you. It's just a fact. I'm going to end this video before I get more people mad. But if you got mad for me saying that, then clearly you must be one of those people. I might even chop this up into just a short video and make it just a video talking about what I want from The Last of Us 2 rather than a podcast. I don't know. I'm ending it. Thank you for watching. I might see you next time. Maybe you didn't see this.